The November 12th, 2014 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
President Adair.
Here.
Mr. Ansello. Ms. Andrews. Mr. Baroth. Ms. Boyce is excused. Dr. Carbone. Mr. Colby. Mr. Daniele. Mr. Delahanty. Mrs. Draw. Mr. Gamble. Mr. Gamina is excused. Mr. Haney. Mr. Howland. Ms. Kaylee. Mr. John Lightfoot. Mr. Willie Lightfoot. Mr. Marionetti. Mr. Michike. Mr. Morelli. Dr. Quattro. Ms. Rivera. Mr. Rocco. Mrs. Stick. Ms. Taylor. Mr. Tucciarello. Mrs. Valerio. Mr. Wilcox. Mr. Yolovich.
Legislators, at this time, I would like to recognize one of our own, Legislator Tony Michike, who has completed his coursework and graduated this year from the Dennis Pelletier Institute at the New York State Association of the County. Congratulations, Tony. Please stay seated. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Reverend Tommy Davis of Good News Jail and Prison Ministries, who's been invited here tonight by Legislator Carla Boyce. Where's yours?
If you will, bow our heads. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come together and seek your will. We understand that there may be disagreements, but we ask for your wisdom. We ask that you give us the wisdom to renew our commitment to America and to vote on things consistent with our constitutional republic. Lord, we just seek your wisdom to protect the poor. We also seek your wisdom to protect the rich who provide jobs for the poor and the politician. We seek your wisdom in respecting one another, that every decision made, whether it's budget or moral, that it will be consistent with freedom, our civil liberties, and our U.S. Constitution. We thank you for giving us the chance to continue our legacy of freedom in this excellent country. In your name, amen.
Legislator Fred Ansello will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Legislator Ansello.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You've received a copy of the journal. Am I on, David? You've received a copy of the Journal of Day 10, October 14, 2014. Without exception, that journal is going to stand approved as submitted. Tonight, there's a hearing loop in place to assist those who are hearing impaired. Anyone requiring assistance should inquire at our clerk's office.
If you have a cellular phone, pager, or other electronic devices in your possession, I would ask that you make it inaudible for the duration of the meeting. Thank you for your cooperation.
This evening, we have several proclamations scheduled. Madam Clerk.
Would representatives from the Genesee Regional Off-Road Cyclists please come forward? Also, President Jeffrey R. Adair and legislators Debbie Draw and E. Daniel Quattro. Whereas the Genesee Regional Off-Road Cyclists, or GROC, is a Rochester-based organization made up of both members and volunteers dedicated to cycling. Their main mission is to protect natural resources while providing trail access for mountain bikers in the greater Rochester area. And whereas the GROC accomplishes its goal of increasing the participation of mountain cyclists in the trail community by doing trail work, educating riders in safety and sustainable trail design, and working with local cycling industry leaders, government agencies, and other trail user groups. And whereas the GROC has now been a part of our greater community for 10 years. They have worked with the county in creating and maintaining shared use trails in both Ellison Park and Irondequoit Bay Park West. As an organization, they are dedicated to making shared use trails in Monroe County parks a beneficial offering both to the biking and non-biking public. And whereas through their hard work and determination over the past 10 years, the Genesee Regional Off-Road Cyclists have been able to develop shared use trails for the enjoyment of countless people and families in our community. Their focus on education, conservation, and strategic use of natural resources has caused them to be a highly respected advocacy group for off-road cyclists in Monroe County. Now, therefore, we, Jeffrey R. Adair, President, Debbie Draw, Legislator District 9, and E. Daniel Quattro, Legislator District 15, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and congratulate the Genesee Regional Off-Road Cyclists on their 10th anniversary. Congratulations.
So I just wanted to give you some quick stats. First, I'd like to thank Larry Staub, Dave Ronaldo, Mark Quinn, and the rest of the Parks Department, who just do a great job with limited resources with the 21 parks that we do have. Over the last 10 years, we log our hours. So from 2008 to today, we've logged 9,290 volunteer hours. And I think if people know here that volunteer hours have a dollar value, so about $245,000 based on that, just in volunteer hours in these parks. In the two Ellison parks alone, in 2 years, 3,796 hours volunteer time, which has about $106,000 value. So, thank you for letting us work in your parks, and we're really happy to contribute, and it has real value to the community. Thanks.
Would Chelsea Franz, Leah Miller, and Evelyn Evans, who is representing Kim King, please come forward? Also, County Executive Maggie Brooks and President Jeffrey R. Adair.
And I'm glad that the chair of our Human Services Committee is joining us as well. We're doing something a little unprecedented tonight, but I think it's important. Last week I had the privilege of attending the annual Federation of Social Workers Human Services Luncheon. And that is where a lot of dedicated people in the community are honored and recognized for their work making a difference in the lives of our vulnerable citizens, of citizens in need in this community. And they perform that work with such dedication and compassion that we wanted to let you know, as a legislative body, that 3 of our own Monroe County workers were recognized. Now, to be recognized by your peers is a special honor indeed, and that's part of this, but to be recognized by the greater community, I think, is also very significant. And so we wanted to call attention to the great work of these 3 individuals and publicly recognize them so that our legislators would understand just the value that we have in our workforce. Our county workers work very hard, and this is an example of how that hard work pays off, and you make us very, very proud. So I want to congratulate Leah Miller, who was the Human Service Worker of the Year runner-up. Chelsea Franz was awarded the Bertina Ford Rising Star, honored, and Kim King, in memoriam, was given the Human Services Worker Memorial Award. So I just want to congratulate all of you. Evelyn is accepting on behalf of Kim King, and just keep up the good work. We are very, very proud, and you should be too. So thank you for all that you do. Thank you. I have a certificate for each of you.
Legislators, you have the referrals submitted to the legislature for the next committee cycle. They're all in your folders. At this time, I would like to introduce County Executive Maggie Brooks, who will address the legislature on the Monroe County annual budget for the year 2015.
Well, good evening. I apologize. We got a little confused out there, but good evening. Each year presenting a budget to this legislature and to our community is the most important thing that I do as Monroe County executive, and it's one of the most important jobs that all of us have as a county administration and a county legislature. Our budget is always a statement of our priorities, and it guides the decisions that we make throughout the year about the quality of life that we will have in our community. So to the members of the county legislature, I started my career in public service right here in this chamber, and I recognize firsthand the important work that you do on behalf of taxpayers. So I want to thank all of you, both sides of the aisle, for your continued partnership and your support. I have often said that the county's workforce is the most talented and the most dedicated in Monroe County. This year, we challenged the resolve of all departments with aggressive targets that demanded that they do even more with even less. They met the challenge, and taxpayers in 2015 will be better served because of it. The 2015 budget protects our taxpayers. That's really where we start every year with our budget planning process. We focus on that one goal, protecting the people who pay the bills. The 2015 budget honors our longstanding commitment to property tax stability. The tax rate will remain unchanged at $8.99. The tax rate has not been increased in 11 years. In fact, the rate is lower today than when I took office in 2004. The 2015 budget is balanced. It complies with the county's Taxpayer Protection Act by holding non-mandated spending well below the rate of inflation. And because the budget complies with the New York State property tax cap, local taxpayers will be eligible for a rebate check in 2015. The 2015 budget streamlines county operations to reduce the size and the cost of government, but maintains our funding commitment to vital quality of life programs and services. This is a good budget, and it builds on our history of strong fiscal management. Long before there were caps and freezes, this administration made a decision to run a government that lives within its means. And thanks to the hard work, solid planning, and innovative solutions of our team, we have reduced the tax rate and reduced the size of our annual deficit, a gap caused by the ongoing burden the state has placed on counties in the form of unfunded mandates. Dealing with mandates imposed by the state of New York continues to be our #1 problem. In 2015, mandates account for a staggering 85% of spending in the 2015 budget. Next year, more than twice the amount of all property taxes we will collect locally will be spent supporting state, not local services. New York State is the only state in the nation that requires counties to pay a local share of this magnitude. So what does that really mean? Well, the average annual household income in our county is $58,000. What would happen if the average household was subject to the same mandate burden that county government faces? It would mean when the average local family sits down to pay the bills and figure out expenses, they would only have $8,700 out of that annual paycheck to work with. The other $49,000 would be on the books for sure, but it would be off limits. You can't run a household that way, and you shouldn't have to run a county that way. 85% of our budget is mandated, which means we only control 15%. Let me put it another way. If our entire county budget was a $1 bill, we control only 15 cents of that dollar. The other 85 cents is dedicated to paying for state and federal required programs. That 85 cents largely pays for 9 state programs, including Medicaid, public assistance, child welfare, indigent defense, pre-K special education, probation, early intervention, youth detention, and pensions. The other 15 cents is all that's left to pay for everything else, from public safety to roads and bridges to parks to programs that support our children, our families, our seniors, and our veterans. Statewide, those 9 programs consume 90% of the tax levy collected in all counties in New York State. In 2015, our property tax levy is projected to be $362 million. Our total mandated spending for those 9 mandated programs and services is going to be a little more than $771 million. That means that in Monroe County next year, the state will force us to spend more than 2 times the amount of all the property taxes we collect to pay for just 9 mandated programs. It's ridiculous, it's outrageous, and it's not sustainable. And while the state controller is making lists of counties in fiscal distress, he needs to be honest about our real challenges. The challenges for counties are real, and the choices are difficult. To balance our budget in 2015, we started with the need to close a $31.3 million deficit. That's a big number, but it could absolutely be worse. As recently as 5 years ago, our forecasted 2-year deficit was more than $109 million. Our commitment to focused fiscal restraint has allowed us to cut the projected 2-year deficit in half to $50.8 million. We cannot control the mandated costs that result in a budget deficit each and every year, but we can make good decisions spending the dollars that we do control. That was my promise to taxpayers in 2004, and that is the practice of this administration more than a decade later. Good decisions are not always easy decisions. We make pragmatic adjustments to programs and services every year in our budget to maximize our dollars, but not everything gets public attention. There are decisions, however, about things like spending for our subsidized daycare program, which becomes a lightning rod for controversy and does cause some tense public discussion. No one in this community disputes the importance of subsidized child care. That has never been the issue. Affordable child care for at-risk, low-income families allows more parents to transition from welfare to work. That's good news for those families, and that's good news for our local economy. Each year, the state requires each county to provide a specific subsidy for daycare, and the amount is called a maintenance of effort. Monroe County's maintenance of effort is $4.2 million a year. That contribution is nearly 4 times more than any other county in upstate New York. We provide more required support for subsidized daycare than Albany, Onondaga, and Erie counties combined. Last year, the county partnered with the Rochester Community Foundation, the United Way, and the Rochester Business Alliance to advocate for increased state funding for local child care. The RBA made daycare funding a community priority in its annual community agenda. Republicans joined Democrats, who joined together with local stakeholders to travel to Albany to lobby for increased funding to meet our local growing need. The result? While other counties like Nassau received multi-million-dollar increases in child care funding, Monroe County's funding was practically flatlined. In fact, the state was going to decrease our child care funding until Senator Joe Robach stepped up to fight for this community and for our children and our families. Thanks to his efforts, we received $1.7 million more in the state budget. In 2015, Monroe County will be fully funding our mandated child care contribution, but we simply cannot afford more. We spend, all totaled, $42 million a year in this community on child care. It's important, but so is public safety, we don't spend $42 million a year on our sheriff's road patrol. We don't spend $42 million a year on our 911 center, our emergency operations center, and our public safety communication systems combined. Child care is important, but so is the condition of our roads and bridges. And we don't spend $42 million a year on our entire Department of Transportation. Monroe County has met our child care obligation, and it's time for the state to meet theirs. In 2015, I will be asking our state leaders on both sides of the aisle to join me in advocating for a change to Albany's child care formula. It is flawed, and it needs to be changed so that the most daycare dollars flow to the communities with the most need. I encourage my colleagues in this chamber with relationships in Albany to stand with me to fight for our fair share. And I say to all community advocates who stand ready to pounce now that this budget proposal is being released, before you hold a single press conference, before you begin your public attacks and start calling for meetings with all the members of my administration, you better pick up the phone and call Albany first. Let me be clear. If subsidized child care is a state-mandated program, it should be a state-supported program. Even last week's report from the Center for Governmental Research confirmed that daycare is primarily a state issue. That means that state leaders need to step up and join Senator Robach in being our champion and our voice on this important issue. Our $31.3 million budget deficit forced some tough decisions. We also used an array of cost avoidance measures and non-tax revenue enhancements to balance the budget and protect our taxpayers. So how did we do it? I get that question every year. First, we proposed the continued responsible sale of property tax liens for a total of approximately $9.3 million. Internal efficiencies and streamlining of services will result in a savings of approximately $7.75 million. The growth in local real estate valuations will account for $5 million. Monroe County will receive $4 million as a result of the state's new gaming exclusivity compact for casino development. Savings from our 2014 shift to self-insurance model for employee health care will total approximately $3.8 million. The county workforce will be reduced by 17 positions, and that will reduce costs by $850,000. And increases in scheduled pilot payments will realize an additional $600,000. We also had a mid-year challenge to overcome to balance this budget. $6 million worth of new mandate costs were imposed by the state and federal governments halfway through the year. The two largest impacts, a $2.6 million increase in Medicaid costs was passed down from Albany in the form of a mid-year formula change. And nearly $1.4 million in increased costs for certain retiree health plans came as the result of Obamacare cuts to the Medicare Advantage program. Under the Medicare Advantage hike alone, the county's 2015 obligated contribution to certain retiree health care plans will represent a 100% cost increase over 2014. President Gerald Ford once said that compromise is the oil that makes governments go. When you think about it, compromise is really the essence of any good budget. And as with any compromise, no one will get everything that they want. If I had my way, I would cut property taxes every year. But mandated costs make that impossible without deep cuts to quality of life services. Every year we get inundated with requests for more money and more money for certain projects and programs. But mandated costs make that impossible without steep property tax hikes. So we compromise and we prioritize. We make the most of a budget in which we control only 15% of our total spending. And we continue to try and educate state leaders about the challenges of running a county government in New York State. Earlier this year, I wrote a letter to members of our delegation along with a proposal. If the state would use a portion, just a portion, of its well-advertised surplus to reduce every county's Medicaid bill by 1/2, Monroe County taxpayers would realize a 23% reduction in our tax rate. That would be a cut. That would not be a freeze. I invite every legislator to join me in a call to action to use that $1.5 billion windfall to cut property taxes in Monroe County. Lower taxes mean more secure families, more businesses to create more jobs, more young talent to fill those jobs, and a better quality of life for those that we collectively serve. Mr. President, I am proud to present for this legislative body's consideration a good 2015 Monroe County budget, and I look forward to working with you and all of your fellow legislators on its final passage. Thank you.
At this time, we will recess and have the clerk go proceed to get the distribution of the MOUs. It'll be a short recess. Thank you. Legislators, we will now move out of recess. You have in your folders the approved minutes from the last cycle. There are no formal committee reports scheduled for this evening. At this time, we will now hold the public forum. We have several people registered to address the legislature. Madam Clerk.
If you require assistance, a deputy is available to assist you in approaching the lectern. I will call 3 people forward at one time. Each speaker will have 2 minutes in which to address the legislature, and kindly conclude your remarks when the timer sounds and exit through the back of the chambers. Thank you for your cooperation. Our first 3 speakers are Catherine Smith, Sister Grace Miller, and Mrs. L. Morales.
Good evening, Mr. Adair, members of the legislature. I'm Catherine Smith. I'm the first Vice President of Advocacy for the League of Women Voters, Rochester Metro area. For decades, the League at national, state, and local has supported public funding for pre-K educational programs. Unfortunately, during the 2008-2012 recession, funds for these purposes were cut. Last year, New York State restored some monies, and the County of Monroe did receive some 214-215 allotments. But we maintain that it's not nearly enough to serve our community's needs. The recent Government for Research report has shown that more than we even thought a year ago when we commissioned this report, that people in our community are in need of child care support more than ever. Our League members and many citizens in our county were surprised to see the growth in the number of families needing support for child care services in our towns as well as in the city. One cites 31% increase. Our county is rightly proud of the support we give locally, but we need to do more. So as the recession eases, people again can begin to find work. Their children will be in safe environments where the foundation of educational will be available for all kids. Our kids are going to need even higher skills for the productive workforce that we have in this county. And that learning has to start in the first 5 years. Study after study shows if the literacy is not with children by age 5, even when they get in good public school programs, we cannot close the gap. The League of Women Voters will continue to support an increase at the local level, and we will continue to do our advocacy work in New York and in DC. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sister Grace Miller.
The judgment is not yours to make. They are the beloved of God. And who are they, the beloved of God? They are the homeless, right in your own backyard. And what is your attitude towards them? The just, the compassionate, the human response is definitely not that of Maggie Brooks, who says some do not want help. So you leave them out in the cold. You totally disregard them. And what is Jesus' response to this total disregard? The answer is found in Scripture, Matthew 25, when Jesus says to his disciples, "When I was hungry, you did not give me food. When I was thirsty, you did not give me drink. When I had nowhere to live, you did not give me shelter." Then the disciples turned to Jesus and asked him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or homeless and not attend to your needs?" And Jesus says, as you all well know, I assure you, as often as you neglected to do it to one of these least ones, you neglected to do it to me. And the least ones today are our homeless And it's not true that they do not want help. They are people with mental illness. They need help. They need compassion. They need justice. And just because you are county legislators, just because Maggie Brooks is county executive, none of you is exempt from the mandate of our Lord to feed the hungry, to shelter the homeless, especially the most difficult. There are easy homeless to place, and there are some that are difficult to place. But all of them are deserving of our help with no exceptions. Those that are mentally ill are suffering from schizophrenia, depression, bipolarism, you name it, they have that mental disease. And they are too disabled to take advantage of the welfare, safety nets, and local shelters and help that's given them. Some are just plain lonely. How do we look upon them? There is a place in every single one of them that is sacred. And this place can only be touched in the presence of one whom they can trust, a person committed to walking with them through their struggles, and that takes time. So we cannot say they do not want help. If they're mentally ill, they need more special help. And Maggie Brooks needs to understand that.
Please summarize.
To be honest with you, I cannot fathom your lack of concern toward the least of God's brethren. I can't understand that with the wealth in this county, that there's not one building that you can have put up, set up for the homeless that are out in the streets. Winter is here. It's cold out. You all have your comfortable homes to go to, warmth, food, shelter, and yet the homeless are out on the streets. Do you care? And you're the ones that can do something about it. And you're the ones that God is looking to help them. And you're the ones that this scripture is meant for. I heard him.
Next speaker, please. Thank you.
It's me again. Bet you're tired of seeing my face, as you're tired of seeing people telling you what you should do and what you should be ashamed of. Well, guess what? So are the mentally ill, homeless, poor, sick, and those in the cold. It's that time of year it gets colder. It's the time of year to celebrate Thanksgiving. But to those who are mentally ill, homeless, cold, poor, let's call them the have-nots. It's Thanksgiving. Are you one of those we as a people should give thanks for killing people? Most of the homeless are not homeless by choice. Your hands were in the job. Lost homes, evictions, foreclosures, always rules and regulations, but don't want no one giving them to you. People, and you're one of them. People get tired of someone always telling them what they should do. Rules for everyone but you. Some of these homeless have children going to school, and because of the health issues, RG&E issues, loss of jobs, which left America, evictions, rent too high, RG&E, as rent gives or take a few dollars, cannot pay for everything as they could before. The people who have lived in the inner city all their lives, no cars anymore, gas is high, you feel it should be, don't want to live in the wilderness. They don't want to live in the wilderness. Your suburbs, you take everything from us in the city, and you live outside city limits. Well, you do what you want. You use city limits and the neighborhood to say no to those who have lived here all their life. Where is the love? Help us build a place. Help us find a place. There's ways as habit that helps people build houses. You give to animals. You give them shelter. There's rules for hurting animals, but you can hurt humans. I don't see this. You can't take care of your own. We are your own. Mr. and Mrs. Big Stuff, tell me, who do you think you are?
Please summarize.
Okay. me see. Some of these children going to school are coming to school they're coming to school confused. They can't even learn because they're living someplace else. It's time for us to be seen and heard. Do you want us in your neighborhood? If not, do something. Help us. Put a roof over our head. We're telling you that the roof is on fire and the smoke is up to heaven. Thank you.
Our final two speakers are Edwin Seals and Rita Lewis.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. I come before you tonight asking for the local residents as well as the legislature and the county to reconsider a proposition which is dealing with sex offenders. Yes, I am a registered sex offender. I'm very ashamed of what I've done. However, given light that this new legislation that is pending is going to impinge further those who have successfully stayed free and at liberty, such as myself. I've been out for 11 years now. I'm doing well, I'm living alone. And the thing that concerns me is now, once again, I'm being considered for this new law where I may have to relocate because of the fact that I might be within 1,000 feet of a daycare, public recreation center, school, library, etc. Now, the thing that disturbs me is this doesn't just impinge me or sex offenders as such. What we must remember is that not only is a sex offender being chastised for the crime that he committed, but his family too is being chastised because of the fact that they are being discriminated against because of the fact that they have a member of their family who are registered sex offenders. I applied for housing for the elderly, and I was denied because it is underwritten by HUD. So what I'm saying is this not only affects me, but my family as well. So I would ask that when legislation of this nature comes up, that you please look at it a little more seriously and consider the impact not just on the sex offender, but on those who are law-abiding citizens that have to maintain the wrath that's going on as a result of.
Please summarize.
What I'm asking is that you just be considerate. Do you personally know a sex offender? Have you ever met one or had an opportunity to speak with one? What do you really know about them other than what you've been told? I would ask that you find out a little more before you pass judgment on others. Thank you.
I am here tonight to speak on behalf of the homeless who seem to have no one who cares whether they are cold, whether they are alone, whether they are hurting. How do you dismiss what Sister Grace mentioned? How do you dismiss it? How do you not really think about it carefully? How do you not do soul searching? as to what she mentioned. You have the power. You do have the power to provide housing for people who are unable to obtain housing through no fault of their own for various reasons. You really think mental illness is a choice? You really think substance abuse, drug addiction, alcoholism is a matter of choice? Most people know better. And most people do realize that the people who are out there in need do want the help. Our county executive is very mistaken when she states that there are some people who do not want help. That is not true. That could not be farther from the truth. Of course they want help. Of course they want a warm place to stay. You took it away from them. You took the place they had, the parking garage, which provided shelter, warmth, dry area, vast area, so some people could be alone, others could stay together. You took it away from them without providing them a place to go. Think about that. What would you do if you were in their shoes? What would you do? Jesus said, I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I needed shelter, and you provided me with none. Think about it. Thank you.
This concludes the public forum.
At this time, will we recess the November 12th, 2014 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature and convene the Pure Waters Administration Boards for the Rochester Pure Water Districts, the Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District, the Gates-Chili-Ogden Sewer District, and the Irondequoit Bay South Central Pure Waters District. If there are no objections, we will adopt 14-0298 and 14-0300 with one vote. The clerk will see to it that the individual motion and resolution numbers are assigned for each district. The clerk will please note the attendance and read the first item on the agenda.
PWAB agenda items 1, 7, 12, and 17, referral 14-0298, authorizing.
It is moved by legislator Marinetti. It is seconded by legislators Michikay and Yolovich. This is a motion to adopt. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
PWAB agenda items 2, 8, 13, and 18, referral 14-0300.
Moved by legislator Michikay. It is seconded by legislator Yolovich. This is a motion to adopt also. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
PWAB agenda item 3, referral 14-0302.
It is moved by legislator Michikay. It's seconded by legislator Yolovich. This is also a motion to adopt. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. We have before us, if I'm not mistaken, Madam Clerk, we have a matters of urgency regarding referrals number 14-0318. Thank you. For the purpose of scheduling a public hearing for December 9th, 2014, before the Pure Waters Administration Board and establishing a scale of charges for each district. If there are no objections, we will move this in one introductory, table all the districts with one vote, fix the public hearings for each district with one vote. The clerk will see to it that the individual motions and the resolution numbers are assigned for each district. Madam Clerk.
PWAB agenda items 4, 9, 14, and 19, referral 14-0318.
Moved by legislator Michikay, seconded by legislator Yolovich. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item, please.
PUAB agenda items 5, 10, 15, and 20, referral 14-0318.
This is moved by legislator Michikadis, second by legislator Yolovich. This is the motion to table. All in favor? Any opposed? The item carries. Next item.
PUAB agenda items 6, 11, 16, and 21, referral 14-0318.
Moved by legislator Michikadis, second by legislator Yolovich. This is to set the public hearing. All in favor? Any opposed? The item carries. Next item. I'm sorry, that's it. So confused, there was a lot of them on there. Thank you, Jamie. We will now recess all the districts and adjourn the Pure Waters Administration Board. We will now proceed with the considerations for local laws. Will the clerk please read the next item on the agenda?
Item number 1, referral 14-0307.
Moved by legislators Rocco, is second by legislator Valerio and Yolovich. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item.
Item number 2, referral 14-0307.
Moved by legislator Rocco, second by legislators Valerio and Yolovich. This is the motion to table. All in favor? Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 3, referral 14-0307.
This is moved by legislator Rocco, second by legislators Valerio and Yolovich. This is the motion to set the public hearing. Any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 4, referral 14-0312.
Moved by legislator Rocco, second by legislator Yolovich. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item, please.
Item number 5, referral 14-0312.
Moved by legislator Rocco, second by legislator Yolovich. This is the motion to table. All in favor? Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 6, referral 14-0312.
Moved by legislator Rocco, second by legislator Yolovich. This is the motion to set public hearing. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to request that in addition to the other information that was requested at the Ways and Means Committee meeting, that prior to the public hearing and meeting, that we be provided with the book value of the property being sold. That is the value at which the property is currently being carried on the books of the county in the solid waste fund, as well as the original cost of that property. Thank you.
Thank you. We else have with that, folks? Yes. Legislator Hayner. We will have that. Okay. Our next item is, we didn't vote, I'm sorry. This is a confusing agenda tonight. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 7, referral 14-0280.
This is moved by legislator Rocco, is seconded by legislator Valerio. Is there any discussion? Legislator Baroth.
Mr. President, first I want to say thank you very much for getting the biographical information to us. I appreciate that very much. It was a concern we didn't have that. I have one quick procedural question. Is that, am I correct to understand that the power to appoint is solely vested in, to nominate is solely vested in your office? That is correct, sir?
That is correct.
Thank you. And I just want to ask, was anyone else considered for this position at this time?
There were other applicants.
There were
Yes,
other
there was.
applicants.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, at this time, I'd like to say I will be voting in support of this nomination. I was particularly impressed by the biographical information that you did provide to us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 8, referral 14-0283.
Moved by legislator Ansello. It is seconded by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I would like to just first perhaps you can ask the administration in the future that when we ask things of committees, when we ask the administration of committees, they could provide the written answers to us before the day of our meetings here so that we have a little bit more time to review them. I'm sure my colleagues on the other side of the aisle would like more than simply a couple hours to review things. That being said, I do have a couple questions for the Sheriff's Department if someone's here to speak to them tonight.
I believe we do.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the Sheriff's Department, I'm wondering, will officers be required to announce their interactions when they're being recorded? Will they tell, in a situation, will they be announcing that their people are being recorded?
Through the chair, during the test phase, which we are entering right now, that will not be required. The circumstances in which the deputies will be wearing the cameras could be traffic stops, in progress calls, things of that nature, where it would not be appropriate or logistically be able to do that. As we go forward the future process, I've met with a public defender yesterday. We'll be meeting with the district attorney as we go through the pilot phase and work out all the details. Those are additional questions as to when it would be appropriate, if appropriate, to announce that. It'll be worked out after we go through the pilot phase.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. President, does this correspond with Miranda rights? Perhaps you can talk to that specifically on how does this affect that at all?
It's a very good question. Through the chair, the random rights issue has been handled differently. We've been researching policies across the country and through different accreditation standards to try and come up with the best policy for both the citizens' civil rights as well as the County of Monroe and our legal liabilities. There are agencies that record all Miranda rights, and there are agencies that do not. At this time, if during the course of a interview the recording is taking place and Miranda becomes part of it, they will continue to record through Miranda. During the pilot phase, or I'm sorry, the test phase we're in right now, the deputies will play in with a variety of different types of cameras. So we're not holding them to any specifics because we're trying to work out the proper way to function and record. That will be established in the policy. There will be a statement addressing how it is to be handled regarding all interviews in Miranda.
Thank you. I have a question pertaining through you, Mr. President, on witnesses and victims of crime. How exactly will the use of cameras be determined in those situations?
Through the chair, the stand depends on the crime and depends on the witness. For example, a victim of a sex crime will not be recorded. Juveniles will not be recorded. There are other situations where you may want to record them, where the credibility of the witness may be in question. You may want to record that for vindication later, the validity of their statements. So there is no definitive answer. It will depend on a case-by-case situation.
Through you, a follow-up to that, through you, Mr. President. So if someone comes to an officer and is providing information through an anonymous tip, will that be recorded?
Through the chair, I'm not sure I understand the question.
So if someone decides, someone from let's say a community, I guess it would be a witness, but obviously wants to make sure that they're protected because of things that we know occur in neighborhoods. I mean, is that person being recorded or no?
Through the chair, it's another excellent point. That is addressed in the plan that we gave you. I apologize for not having more time to review it. Confidential informants, things of that nature will not be recorded.
Okay. Very good. Through you, Mr. President, the pilot program that you said, or that you sent to us that we had little time to review, does note that certain officers will be given these during the. Is there any particular way in which you're selecting those officers?
Through the chair, the initial pilot program will be assigned to the traffic enforcement unit. I've met with them myself, as well as one of the companies that's providing the cameras to view the training and observe how they're going to use them. There are 4 different camera systems they're using, and so we chose a narrow group so that as we go through different product lines, we'll have the same deputies evaluate more than one system and more than one vendor. After that point, the chief deputy is responsible for assigning them to areas he sees appropriate, which at that point may expand to regular patrol duties as well.
Thank you. I just want to clarify, you did say that you'll be speaking with the district attorney's office in regards to this?
Through the chair, absolutely. In fact, I already spoke to the public defender yesterday to get his insight, because I believe it's valuable. All of our concerns, I think, on both sides of the House and the administration are the same. We want to make sure we get this right. The consequences for getting it wrong can be serious. And so after we get the pilot done, we'll be meeting with the district attorney, because there are a number of evidentiary issues as well in terms of how you record it, how do you get it to court, does it come from the drive, does it come from the CD? So we'll have to work out all those details, and once we have the evidentiary transfer process solidified, that will become part of the sheriff's policy and general order, and that will be available for everyone to see.
And through you, Mr. President, I believe I asked this in committee, just to clarify, since obviously new information has been put together, have the police unions been in discussions on these?
Yes, the chief deputy met with the president of the union. He's in full support and had a chance to review the policy. We have a tentative, we have a bulletin out to provide guidelines for the deputy's usage during the pilot phase, and the president of the union had input into that, and his considerations were included in the bulletin, which I actually sent out about an hour ago.
Great. And just a final question, will the county legislature be given a copy of the final policy once that's finalized?
Through the chair, the sheriff's policies are all available.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to explain my vote, I will be voting in favor of this. Obviously, I think that what the Sheriff's Department has provided through our questioning and through the test pilot program that they've put together, again, while I didn't have much time to read through it, I think that they're on the right track, and I want to thank the deputy for being here today and for answering my additional questions. I will be voting in the affirmative.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion at this time? Legislator Willie Lightfoot.
Thank you, Mr. President. To you, Mr. President, to the deputy here, also to appreciate you being here this evening to answer some questions. I just have a couple quick questions to you, Mr. President. What is, from your perspective, the primary goal to you, Mr. President, to the administration, primary goal of this grant, from your perspective?
Through the president, the primary goal of the grant is to provide funding for this program. Sheriff O'Flynn has been looking at body cameras for the past 3 years. Both the technology as well as the financial cost has been prohibitive to us participating in this. The grant was required to begin the pilot program. The challenge to body cameras is not just the expense of the camera itself, it's the annual fee for storage. And the challenge with the sheriff's office, as with all county governments, is to try and avoid annual recurring expenses without eliminating another expense. So this will fall out of the county IS division, which is under my section, so we'll be monitoring how we're going to cover future costs.
Okay. That was nice. Through you, Mr. President, to the administration, upon looking at the money, the financial aspect of it, as a police officer, as a sworn officer, someone, this is your profession, this is what you do, what is the goal of these cameras? I mean, I think it's a very simple answer. A question through you, Mr. President, from a police tactical, logistical, what is the, and I ask this question because I've been down this road, I don't know, and others with cameras. We have several cameras on Jefferson Avenue. We have more drugs being sold than ever before, but we got cameras everywhere. So we're paying for these cameras with no return on our investment. And I've seen this happen time and time again, and I'm wondering, is this another one of those situations where it's a grant now, what you just said, that because the cost of maintaining these things, we get the grant, we get them, we got to maintain them. Next year, it's not a grant, it's us going in our budget to maintain these cameras with no return. They're just another piece of equipment that's just there. Again,
cite the fact we have cameras in our community outside of the red light cameras, which I think we're seeing major revenues and impacts on. They probably are the only thing that are working as far as camera-wise. But through you, Mr. President, to Mr. I guess I'm skeptical about voting for this because I live in a community that is plagued with cameras everywhere, and there's no return on the investment. So, like, what is more cameras going to do for my community? I don't see it. I just help me to, somebody help me to see what more cameras are going to do. Is there going to be more arrests? Are there going to be more, is it going to make my community safer? Is it going to make, what is it going to do? But be another bill at the end of the day. So I may say, I may have to vote no for these cameras just because, past has shown me that cameras are not helping us police our community. Cameras are not the answer. Do you, Mr. Chairman? President, City Administration. Maybe that's not a question, just a statement.
Yeah.
Through the President, I'd like to answer the question that was posed.
So, Legislator Lightfoot, would you please, what is the question?
I was trying to figure out the goal outside of financial. What he gave me was a financial, the grants helping us to get the cameras. Okay. What's the goal? There has to be something outside of these cameras, logistically, tactically, strategically. There has to be a plan of when you get these cameras, what are you going to do with them? You say you're talking to public defender, and I'm not trying to come down on you or anything like that. The frustration comes from the fact that when I walk out of my business, I see cameras everywhere. But I see people open in drug dealing going on, constant, everything's, and they're police cameras. So I'm saying, okay, in my mind, what are going to make these cameras, these body, are they to protect the officers? Or are they to protect the citizens? Are they to protect both? I just don't see, can they be turned off? I mean, are they on all the time? When I'm in a hairy situation, do I just turn the camera off? What am I getting with these cameras? I mean, I think we're just getting another bill. I don't think we're getting anything out of these cameras. I don't think they're going to cause no more arrests. I don't think they're going to put people in jail. I don't think they're even going to protect the officers, because when the officers get in a hairy situation, if the cameras are able to be turned off, they're going to turn them off. So I don't get it. That's all. I just don't get it. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. There's nothing to be sorry about. I just don't know what.
No, I got it. I'd like to answer it, President.
Got it. Yep. Okay. Great. Thank you. All set.
I would like to respond if I can. Sorry.
It would be good if the chair, which would be me, would understand the questions. I believe that the legislator just asked and said he made a statement about that. I don't, if there is, legislator Lightfoot, can we just get a question? A question.
The question was from the jump, was from the beginning, was very simple. What are the purposes outside of financially with these cameras? That's a very simple question.
Okay, that's it. Okay, good. Go.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thank the legislator for the question. I do understand where you're coming from. There are two primary purposes which can be gained. We issued the plan, which has 6 particular objectives. I'll give you the 2 big ones to make it simple. The primary purpose is evidentiary. I've been a policeman for 24 years. I can't tell how many people I arrested, but I can tell you it's a lot. The majority of those contacts I had were one-on-one, my word against yours. The camera provides the additional evidentiary basis of what is an initial, what I saw, what I observed, what did you have, what was on the person, and so you're going to have recordings of that. Now, I believe that my word, my testimony is good enough. The era has changed. People want to see if there's video available. People want it. So for testimony's sake, if you've got, particularly with intoxicated people that show up in court in nice suits looking good, if you've got videotape of them how they were in an actual environment, or you have videotape of a domestic violence incident where you have the attacker in that particular environment, when you catch a robbery suspect and they are fleeing the scene and they make initial statements, if they have video footage of that, there's certainly very convincing evidence. So I think there is an evidentiary value which could in fact increase clearances and arrests and prosecutions. The second side is the civil side. It's the same point. When I have a contact with a suspect, it's one-on-one. What I say happened, I believe happened. I'm not going to I trust the deputies to be very truthful and very honest. However, citizens can make complaints. And if the citizen makes a complaint, then there's two sides of that. A, it's on video and the officer was wrong and we're going to deal with that. Or B, what the citizen said did not occur, and this is going to defend the deputy, the sheriff's office in Monroe County against litigation. Nationwide, the majority of cases that have evolved, and the benefit has been a significant reduction in claims of abuse by police because it was recorded. And so you reduce the complaints that are not legitimate. However, if a case is legitimate and there's video, then it should be. Then the consequences are what they are. If the officer is wrong, then that'll be dealt with. So the benefit is both increased quality of evidence as well as civil protection for the deputy and Monroe County ultimately.
Okay, thank you. Legislator Lightfoot, the floor is still yours.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. If anybody understands having video saved my life. So if anybody understands that, but it was my video. You understand what I'm saying? So the public is cameras that they have their own cameras. They're videotaping their own situations now. Like instant, everything's instant now. So again, I haven't seen or heard in any other county that's doing this where their evidence has increased with causing more convictions. That's where I'm at. At the end of the day, if you don't get convictions, just piling the justice system up full of evidence and full of cases is not a win. Convictions are wins. And so I have not seen enough, Mr. President, and it's not against, the individuals that are here tonight, but just evidence-wise, speaking of evidence, I haven't seen enough out there where this is actually increasing safety of individuals, where this is other than reality TV, where it looks good on cops, but has it made our communities safer? I challenge that, Mr. President, and that's all. I'm voting no.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion at this time? Legislator Baroff.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have one brief technical question, and then I'm going to explain my vote. And the technical question is, in our discussion with the commander, you mentioned that confidential informants would not be recorded, and I just want to make sure there's no distinction between confidential informant and informant. Are those two terms synonymous? Because that's what the policies talk about, informants, not confidential informants.
Through the president, they are two different things. A confidential informant is somebody who's been recorded by the criminal investigation or the district attorney. We've agreed that that's what they are. And you also have informants. Informants may be hesitant to come forward if they're being videotaped, and so you do want to be cautious about that. And once again, to the president, this is a 6-month pilot program. In the event we do not find value, we find issues that are challenged with it, the program will be terminated.
Thank you. And then to explain my vote, I'm actually very enthusiastic about receiving this grant and the potential it has for both providing evidence for court cases in the future, but also I think just as importantly, perhaps more importantly, providing proof and certitude of what actually occurs, or at least one more perspective that's recorded of what occurs. And I think that's a very good thing, and I'm going to be very heartily happy to support this particular vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, I'll move to a roll call vote.
Mr. Tucciarello. Yes. Ms. Andrews. Yes. Mr. Ansello. Yes. Mr. Baroff. Yes. Ms. Boyce is excused. Dr. Carbone. Yes. Mr. Colby. Yes. Mr. Daniele. Yes. Mr. Delahanty. Yes. Mrs. Draw. Yes. Mr. Gamble. Yes. Mr. Gamina is excused. Mr. Haney. Yes. Mr. Howland. Yes. Ms. Kaylee. Yes. Mr. John Lightfoot. Mr. Willie Lightfoot? No. Mr. Marionetti? Yes. Mr. Michike? Yes. Mr. Morelli? Yes. Dr. Quattro? Yes. Ms. Rivera? Yes. Mr. Rocco? Yes. Mrs. Stick? Yes. Ms. Taylor? Yes. Mrs. Valerio? Yes. Mr. Wilcox? Yes. Mr. Yolovich? Yes. President Adair?
Yes.
26-1, resolution passes.
Next item, please.
Item number 9, referral 14-0284.
Moved by Legislator Ansello, it is seconded by Legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 10, referral 14-0285.
Moved by legislator Ansello, second by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 11, referral 14-0286.
Moved by legislator Ansello. It is second by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 12, referral 14-0287.
Moved by legislator Ansello. It is second by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 13, referral 14-0288.
Moved by legislator Marinetti, second by legislator Stick and Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 14, referral 14-0289.
Moved by legislator Stick. It is second by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 15, referral 14-0290.
Moved by legislator Stick, second by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 16, referral 14-0291.
Moved by legislator Valerio. It is second by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 17, referral 14-0292.
Moved by legislator Valerio. It is second by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to explain my vote. I will be voting in favor of this tonight, being that one of the county golf courses is in Arundecoit, my home. I look forward to a new contractor who hopefully will be able to provide the services that for a lot of the past few years, recent history has let our golf courses go and is probably going to cost a lot of money to fix. But I look forward to a new contractor, and I thank the Parks Department for going through the efforts of finding which hopefully is the best contractor. So I thank Director Staub for his work, and I will be voting in favor.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion at this time? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 18, referral 14-0293.
Moved by legislator Colby. It is second by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the administration, thank you for the requested information. But it just spurred an extra question. And with regards to the first year of the contract, through the administration, how many providers will be audited in the first year of this contract?
Thank you. That would be helpful. Thank you. Thought about it.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. My apologies. Can I ask that the question be repeated?
Yes. Through you one more time. How many audits will be completed in the first year of this contract?
Mr. President, we put out the RFP with the top 10 providers, so although I can't say for certain it will be 10 agencies, we would expect the top 10 to be audited.
And then, thank you, how many providers do we currently utilize?
Mr. President, I would hazard to guess at the exact number, but it's probably on the scale of 20 to 30.
Thank you. And then, through the administration, would all of, within the 3 years of this proposed contract, since the renewal is for 2 additional years, year at a time, through the President, would the expectation be that all the providers would be audited?
Mr. President, that certainly would be my vision.
Thank you. Let me ask it this way through the President. Is it an expectation of the contract that all be audited?
Mr. President, while again it is my vision that that would be the case, I'm reluctant to put a definitive answer on what might occur in the future.
All right, moving forward into the future. Does the administration have, through the President, a requirement within a contract of this style, of this sort, that a certain percentage of providers that they responded in an RFP to would then be audited during the time of this contract?
Mr. President, that was not a requirement in the RFP.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion at this time? Legislator John Lightfoot.
I gotta squeeze my neck so I can stand up.
I can understand that.
Mr. President, I just received these documents here that was submitted earlier today. As I was reading through them, as we caucused at 5 p.m. today, and some things that came to mind as we sat here, Mr. President, to my caucus. But as my colleague here began to ask some questions, I began to understand that maybe this contract is for multiple services, whereas I only see here in the response that there was only one service, totaling about $160,000 for auditing services of the preschool programs and some IEP type programs. In this particular response, which was in 2006, which is water under the bridge now, I would like to know, Mr. President, through you to the administration, were these recommendations taken into consideration as moving forward by the department, and have they since been corrected?
Mr. President, the RFP, as written, had quite a number of services to be procured. It was decided that we would split the RFP into 2 different respondents, or 2 different contracts. One contract that looked, I will call it inwardly, and one contract that looked outwardly. This particular contract is outward looking.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, Mr. President, there was a second part of the question. And
yeah, so as it says, because it says right here in the objectives, as one of the responses, and number 3, 1, 2, and 3. So you're right. This response that we have been given is an outward look. It's not an internal business. But one of the recommendations on it were it had some recommendations, and some of it was into signing off. Some of this basic 101s. Now, again, this is taken from 2006, 2005, or 4. It's 8 years ago. So it's water under the bridge. But some of the recommendations that were in this report, were sign-in sheets. You know, they don't have any signatures from parents or teachers or any authority. It's just the company putting it in. So this is why documenting the time. So this is one of the recommendations that was in this report. And I'm asking, did the administration take any of these recommendations and implement them from 2006 moving forward to this date? Through you, Mr. President, whenever you get a moment.
Through the president, I would be happy to be able to get back to you with a response to your question.
So from 8 years ago, we're not sure offhand that if you did recommendations such as require sign-offs by a parent, guardian, or teacher to independently verify provision of services as one of the recommendations. You don't know that offhand. I mean, we want to pay $160,000 for another report or whatever the amount of dollars attracted to this one is. And we get these reports, and I want to know if we're following recommendations or not. Do you, Mr. President? I mean, we're sending out a request for accountability for a department or whatever mandated service that we have to do, but you can't tell me if we're actually following the recommendations of what we authorized to audit. That's what you're telling me. You don't know.
Mr. President, these questions didn't come up committee, and I unfortunately have to tell you that we were not prepared to answer this tonight. What I will say is any recommendations that are given in an audit report like this are reviewed between the finance department and the department in charge of running the program, in this case, Department of Public Health. We do have to evaluate these recommendations with New York State Education Department. Some are able to be implemented on our own, and others have to be first run through state ed for their review and approval.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just following up on that line of questioning, am I correct to assume, or maybe I'm not, that you provided an example of one audit that you did of the preschool education program in 2006, and were there others that were done as well, and you just gave us one sample, or is this the only one that was done in that last time that you did them?
Mr. President, to my knowledge, that was the only audit of the preschool special ed program at that time.
Okay, thank you. And then just following up on Legislator Lightfoot, also, if you could provide after this meeting, just I guess respond really to his question about whether or not these recommendations were incorporated in the way that we contract with the special ed providers, that would be very helpful.
Mr. President, we will do that and report back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion at this time? If not, I'll move to a roll call vote.
Mr. Tucciarello. Ms. Andrews? Mr. Ansello? Mr. Baroth? Ms. Boyce is excused. Dr. Carbone? Mr. Colby? Mr. Daniele? Mr. Delahanty? Mrs. Draw? Mr. Gamble? Mr. Gamina is excused. Mr. Haney? Mr. Howland? Ms. Kaylee? Mr. John Lightfoot? Mr. Willie Lightfoot? Mr. Marionetti? Mr. Michike? Mr. Morelli? Dr. Quattro? Ms. Rivera? Mr. Rocco? Mrs. Stick? Ms. Taylor? Mrs. Valerio? Mr. Wilcox? Mr. Yolovich? President Adair?
Yes.
25-2, resolution passes.
Next item, please.
Item number 9, referral 14-0294.
Moved by Legislator Colby, to second by Legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 20, referral 14-0295.
Moved by Legislator Colby, second by Legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 21, referral 14-0296.
Moved by Legislator Colby, second by Legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 22, referral 14-0297.
Moved by legislator Marinetti, seconded by legislator Michike and legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 23, referral 14-0299.
Moved by legislator Michike, seconded by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 24, referral 14-0301.
It is moved by legislator Michike. It is seconded by legislator Yolovich. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item, please.
Item number 25, referral 14-0301.
It's moved by legislator Michike. It is seconded by legislator Yolovich. This is a tabling motion. All in favor? Any opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 26, referral 14-0301.
Moved by legislator Michike, seconded by legislator Yolovich. This is the motion to set the public hearing. All in favor? Any opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 27, referral 14-0302.
Moved by legislator Michike. It is seconded by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 28, referral 14-0304.
Moved by legislator Michike, seconded by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 29, referral 14-0305.
Moved by legislator Yolovich, seconded by legislator Rocco. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 30, referral 14-0306.
Moved by legislator Valerio, seconded by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 31, referral 14-0306BR.
Moved by legislator Valerio, seconded by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 32, referral 14-0308.
Moved by legislator Colby, seconded by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 33, referral 14-0309.
Moved by legislator Colby, moved by legislator Michike, seconded by legislator Colby, and by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 34, referral 14-0309BR.
Moved by legislator Colby, seconded by legislator Michike and legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 35, referral 14-0311.
Moved by legislator Colby, seconded by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 36, referral 14-0317.
The item is moved by legislator Michike, seconded by legislator Yolovich. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item, please.
Item number 37, referral 14-0317.
Moved by legislator Michike, seconded by legislator Yolovich. This is the tabling motion. All in favor? Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 38, referral 14-0317.
Moved by legislator Michike, seconded by legislator Yolovich. This, I believe, is the motion to set the public hearing. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 39, referral 14-0371. Adoption of 2015 Monroe County.
It is moved by legislator Yolovich. It is seconded by legislator Rocco. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item.
Item number 40, referral 14-0371, providing that resolution entitled Adoption of 2015 Monroe.
It is moved by legislator Yolovich, it is second by legislator Rocco. This is the tabling motion. All in favor? Any opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 41, referral 14-0371, fixing public hearing on county executives.
Moved by legislator Yolovich, is second by legislator Rocco. This is to set the public hearing. All in favor? Opposed? The item carries. There being no unfinished business tonight, legislator Tucciarella.
Mr. President, the next meeting of the Monroe County Legislature is scheduled for Tuesday, December 9th, 2014 at 6 p.m. Thank you all.
Thank you.